12 black actresses who ruined their faces. And look who up today. The surgical knife promises perfection, but in a city built on smoke and mirrors, it plays a dangerous game. One overzealous clinic trip is all it takes to permanently shatter a signature face into an unrecognizable mask. For decades, these iconic black leading ladies set the gold standard for elegance. Yet behind closed doors, terrified of aging out of Hollywood, they suffered through painful, botched procedures in absolute silence. Today on Black Hollywood Uncut, we expose 12 legendary actresses whose pursuit of youth led to devastating cosmetic disasters. Subscribe and hit that notification bell. Watch until the very end, because the extreme surgical failures on our countdown will leave you speechless. Whoopi Goldberg's 70 age. Now Whoopi Goldberg is 70 years old now, and her story is far more powerful than the shocking rumors often attached to her name. Born Karen Elaine Johnson in New York City, Whoopi rose from a difficult childhood to become one of the rare entertainers who conquered comedy, film, television, theater, and daytime talk. She did not fit Hollywood's usual idea of a glamorous leading lady, and that was exactly what made her unforgettable. She was sharp, strange, fearless, funny, wounded, and completely original. Her breakthrough came with The Color Purple in 1985, where her performance as Celie stunned audiences and earned her an Oscar nomination. Then came Ghost in 1990, the role that made her an Academy Award winner and proved that she could steal a film with timing, soul, and emotional force. By the time Sister Act became a global hit, Whoopi had already broken the mold. She was not simply a black actress surviving Hollywood. She was changing the shape of what a black female star could be. The transcript connects Whoopi to a dramatic story about Frank Langella, but that version needs correction. Frank Langella did not die in 1996. In reality, Whoopi Goldberg and Frank Langella had a private, long-term relationship after working together on Eddie, and reports say they quietly ended their relationship around 2000. That truth may be less sensational than a Hollywood mystery, but it still reveals something important about Whoopi. She has always guarded her private life carefully, refusing to let the public own every part of her heart. Whoopi has been married 3 times, but she has often spoken about not wanting to live inside marriage again. For her, independence is not loneliness, it is control. After decades of being watched, judged, and misunderstood, she chose a life where she could belong to herself first. That decision became part of her legend. Today, Whoopi remains a powerful voice on The View, still controversial, still funny, still impossible to ignore. She is an EGOT winner, a cultural survivor, and one of the most influential black women in entertainment history. Her story is not about a mysterious death or a hidden scandal. It is about a woman who survived poverty, typecasting, fame, failed love, and public criticism, and still refused to disappear. Halle Berry, 59 age. Now, Halle Berry is 59 years old now, and her story is one of the most dramatic examples of how Hollywood can crown a woman one moment, then abandon her the next. Long before she became an Oscar winner, Halle had already fought her way through beauty pageants, television roles, and years of rejection. She was stunning, but she was never just a pretty face. She carried vulnerability, intensity, and a quiet hunger that made audiences watch her closely. Her breakthrough came through films like Boomerang, The Flintstones, and Introducing Dorothy Dandridge. But the world truly changed for her in 2002, when Halle Berry won the Academy Award for Best Actress for Monsters Ball. She made history as the first black woman ever to win that category. On that stage, with tears in her eyes, she understood the size of the moment. It was not just her victory. It felt like a door opening for every black actress who had been overlooked, underpaid, or told there was no place for them at the center of serious cinema. But the celebration did not protect her from Hollywood's cruelty. After the Oscar, many expected Halle to receive the kind of prestige roles that white actresses often received after major wins. Instead, the industry gave her limited choices, uneven scripts, and impossible expectations. Then came Catwoman in 2004, a big-budget superhero film that became a critical disaster. The movie was mocked, the box office disappointed, and Halle was handed a Razzie Award for Worst Actress. In a bold move, she showed up to accept it herself, turning humiliation into humor. That moment could have crushed a weaker star. But Halle Berry kept moving. She returned through thrillers, action films, television projects, and later stepped into directing with Bruised. She never fully regained the unstoppable momentum people expected after her Oscar, but she remained visible, resilient, and impossible to erase. Halle's story is not just about a failed movie. It is about the unfair pressure placed on black women to be perfect every time. One wrong role can become a punishment. One flop can become a label. Yet Halle Berry survived the label, the criticism, and the industry's double standards. Her career reminds viewers that even when Hollywood mishandles a historic woman, history still remembers who broke the door open first. Angela Bassett, 67 age. Now Angela Bassett is 67 years old. Now, and her career feels like a lesson in power, patience, and delayed justice. She is one of those rare actresses whose presence changes the temperature of a scene. Her voice carries authority. Her eyes hold fire. And when Angela Bassett walks on screen, she does not ask for attention, she commands it. Her defining breakthrough came in 1993, with What's Love Got to Do with It, where she transformed into Tina Turner. The role demanded more than imitation. Angela had to capture Tina's pain, strength, stage energy, and survival after years of abuse and control. She trained intensely, reshaped her body, learned the movements, and delivered a performance so powerful that many viewers believed the Oscar was already hers. But on Oscar night, she lost Best Actress to Holly Hunter for The Piano. For many fans, that loss became one of the most painful reminders that Hollywood did not always reward black women fairly, even when their work was undeniable. But Angela Bassett did not disappear after disappointment. She came back with Waiting to Exhale in 1995, giving audiences one of the most unforgettable images of betrayed womanhood in modern black cinema. That car-burning scene became more than a movie moment. It became a cultural release, a visual anthem for women who had been hurt, used, and underestimated. Angela was not simply acting. She was giving form to rage that many women had been taught to swallow. Over the years, she continued building a career on dignity and discipline. She played queens, mothers, leaders, legends, and women who refused to be broken. Even when Hollywood failed to give her the roles she deserved, she made every role feel important. Then came Black Panther, and Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, where she brought regal grief and emotional force to Queen Ramonda. Her performance earned her another Oscar nomination and introduced her power to a new generation. Angela Bassett's story is not about one lost award. It is about a woman who outlasted the system that underestimated her. She did not need Hollywood's permission to become legendary. She became legendary by refusing to shrink, refusing to soften her strength, and refusing to let one night define a lifetime of greatness. Regina King, 55 age. Now Regina King is 55 years old now, and her story is one of triumph, reinvention, and a heartbreak so deep that even fame could not soften it. Long before she became an Oscar-winning actress and respected director, Regina was already part of American television history. She first became known as Brenda Jenkins on 27, showing a natural screen presence even as a young performer. But unlike many child and teen stars who faded after one role, Regina kept growing. She moved from sitcoms into film, then into prestige television, proving again and again that she was not a passing face from the 1980s. She was an artist with staying power. Her career expanded through memorable roles in Boys in the Hood, Jerry Maguire, Enemy of the State, and Ray. Later, she entered one of the strongest chapters of her career, with acclaimed work in television, winning multiple Emmy Awards, and building a reputation as one of the most reliable dramatic actresses in Hollywood. Then came If Beale Street Could Talk, the film that finally brought Regina King an Academy Award in 2019. It felt like a long overdue recognition, not just for one performance, but for decades of discipline, range, and quiet excellence. But while her career reached historic heights, her personal life was struck by unimaginable pain. Regina's only son, Ian Alexander Jr., was her greatest love. She often spoke about him with pride, tenderness, and deep devotion. In January 2022, Ian died by suicide, shortly after his 26th birthday. The loss shattered Regina, in a way no award, role, or public applause could repair. For a time, she stepped away from the spotlight, choosing grief, privacy, and survival over performance. When Regina eventually returned, she did not come back as the same woman. There was a quiet heaviness around her, but also a strength that felt honest. Her story is not just about Hollywood success. It is about what happens when a woman who has played strong characters on screen must face the kind of pain no script can prepare her for. Regina King remains one of the most respected Black actresses of her generation, but her legacy is bigger than awards. She represents endurance, the ability to rise, break, disappear, heal, and still carry love forward. Vanessa Williams, 63, age now. Vanessa Williams is 63 years old now, and her life story proves that one scandal can change everything. But it does not have to end everything. In 1983, Vanessa made history when she became the first Black woman crowned Miss America. It was more than a beauty pageant victory. It was a cultural breakthrough. For many Black girls watching at home, Vanessa's crown meant visibility, elegance, and possibility. She was beautiful, talented, graceful, and suddenly placed at the center of American attention. But that spotlight became dangerous almost overnight. In 1984, unauthorized nude photos from her past were published without her consent, creating one of the biggest scandals in pageant history. Under enormous public pressure, Vanessa resigned her Miss America title. The fall was brutal. Sponsors pulled away, media outlets attacked her, and the same country that had celebrated her beauty quickly turned her into a symbol of disgrace. For a young Black woman who had just broken a historic barrier, the punishment felt especially harsh. Many people expected Vanessa Williams to disappear. Hollywood often treats women as disposable, and for Black women, the margin for mistakes has always been even smaller. But Vanessa refused to let humiliation become her final chapter. She rebuilt herself through music first, proving that her talent was not limited to a crown. Her song "Save the Best for Last" became a massive hit, reaching audiences who may have once only known her through scandal. Then she moved into film and television, building a career that included Eraser, Soul Food, Ugly Betty, Desperate Housewives, and Broadway work. What makes Vanessa's story so powerful is not just the comeback. It is the dignity with which she survived public shame. Decades later, the Miss America organization publicly apologized to her, acknowledging the pain and unfairness of what happened. That moment did not erase the damage, but it did confirm what many already knew. Vanessa Williams had been judged too harshly, too quickly, and too publicly. Today, Vanessa stands as more than a former beauty queen. She is a singer, actress, performer, and survivor of a scandal that could have destroyed her. Instead, she turned disgrace into discipline, rejection into reinvention, and a stolen crown into a career no one could take away. Felicia Rashad, 78. Age now. Felicia Rashad is 78 years old now, and her story is tied to one of the most powerful images of Black womanhood ever placed on American television. For millions of viewers, she will always be remembered as Claire Huxtable on The Cosby Show. Elegant, intelligent, firm, loving, and impossible to ignore. She played a wife, mother, and professional woman with a dignity that changed how many families saw Black success on screen. But behind that graceful public image, Felicia's real life carried its own quiet heartbreak. In 1985, she married former NFL star and broadcaster Ahmad Rashad after one of the most famous televised proposals of the decade. He proposed to her during a Thanksgiving football broadcast, and the moment felt like a modern fairy tale. America watched a beloved actress and a celebrated athlete step into what looked like a glamorous love story. Their marriage seemed polished, successful, and deeply admired. But a public fairy tale does not always survive private distance. Over the years, their lives became more complicated. Ahmad's work in sports broadcasting kept him busy, while Felicia continued balancing motherhood, acting, and her growing reputation as one of the most respected women in entertainment. Like many celebrity marriages, theirs existed under pressure: travel, schedules, public expectations, and the quiet emotional gaps that can grow when two people are living separate rhythms. Their marriage ended in 2001, after about 16 years. Felicia did not turn the divorce into a spectacle. She did not build her public image around bitterness or revenge. Instead, she moved forward with the kind of quiet strength that had always defined her career. And what came next proved that her identity had never depended on being someone's wife. In 2004, Felicia Rashad made history by becoming the first Black woman to win the Tony Award for Best Actress in a Play for A Raisin in the Sun. That victory reminded the world that she was not just a television icon. She was a serious stage actress with discipline, depth, and emotional command. Her story is not about a woman destroyed by divorce. It is about a woman whose elegance survived disappointment. Felicia Rashad built a legacy from talent, intelligence, and restraint, proving that sometimes the strongest comeback is not loud. Sometimes it is simply standing taller than the pain that tried to define you. Alfre Woodard, 73. Age, now. Alfre Woodard is 73 years old now, and her career is one of the clearest examples of greatness existing, even when Hollywood refuses to celebrate it loudly enough. She is not the kind of actress who needed noise to prove her power. Her strength has always been in the work itself, the stillness, the eyes, the voice, the emotional truth she brings into every role. For decades, Alfre has been one of the most gifted performers in American film and television. Yet her story also exposes how often Black women can be brilliant and still be undervalued. By the early 1990s, Alfre Woodard had already built a reputation as a fearless actress who could disappear completely into a character. But one of the most discussed moments in her career came with Passion Fish in 1992. Her performance as Chantel, a recovering addict and caregiver trying to rebuild her life, was layered, painful, funny, and deeply human. Critics praised the role, and many believed she deserved major award recognition. But when Oscar nominations arrived, her name was missing. For many observers, it became another example of Hollywood overlooking a Black actress at the very moment she had delivered work worthy of the highest honor. But Alfre did not build her career waiting for permission from the Academy. She kept choosing roles with intelligence and purpose. She moved between television, film, independent projects, historical dramas, and socially conscious stories, with a range few performers could match. Her work in projects like Miss Evers' Boys showed exactly why she could not be reduced to one category. She could be warm, terrifying, fragile, commanding, political, maternal, or mysterious, sometimes all in the same performance. What makes Alfre Woodard's story so compelling is that she never seemed desperate for Hollywood's approval. She simply kept working at a level that demanded respect. While others chased fame, she built a body of work. While the industry often failed to reward her properly, audiences and fellow actors knew the truth. Alfre was one of the best. Her journey fits perfectly into the larger story of Black actresses from the 1980s and 1990s who gave Hollywood excellence, even when Hollywood gave them limits. Alfre Woodard did not need one golden statue to validate her. Her legacy is already written in every role where she turned silence, pain, and power into unforgettable art. Jada Pinkett Smith, 54 age. Now Jada Pinkett Smith is 54 years old now, and her life has become one of the most debated stories in modern Hollywood. Long before the public dissected her marriage, her interviews, and every word she said, Jada was already a talented actress with a sharp presence and a fearless attitude. From A Different World to Set It Off, The Nutty Professor, and Girls Trip, she built a career on intensity, confidence, and a refusal to play soft when the role demanded fire. But over time, her personal life became even more talked about than her work. In 1997, Jada married Will Smith, and together they became one of Hollywood's most recognizable power couples. For years, they appeared to represent success, family, ambition, and Black excellence. They raised two famous children, built businesses, walked red carpets, and seemed to stand as proof that a Hollywood marriage could survive fame. Then the image began to crack. In 2020, Jada publicly discussed her entanglement with singer August Alsina during an episode of Red Table Talk, while sitting directly across from Will. That moment instantly became part of pop culture history. The world watched a private marriage turn into a public courtroom, with fans choosing sides, creating memes, and questioning what love, loyalty, and openness really meant inside their relationship. But the biggest shock came later. In 2023, Jada revealed that she and Will had actually been separated since 2016, even though they continued appearing publicly as a couple. That confession changed how many people viewed everything that had happened before, including the infamous 2022 Oscars slap, when Will Smith struck Chris Rock after a joke about Jada. Suddenly, the public started asking a painful question. If they had been privately separated for years, what was the marriage truly built on? Jada's story is complicated because it is not simply about scandal. It is about image, silence, partnership, and the strange pressure of being part of a famous couple that the world thinks it owns. Some people see her as brutally honest. Others believe she exposed too much. But one thing is undeniable. Jada Pinkett Smith has never been easy to ignore. Her life forces viewers to ask whether Hollywood love is ever as real as it looks, or whether the performance continues long after the romance is gone. Gabrielle Union, 53 age. Now, Gabrielle Union is 53 years old. Now, and her story is one of survival, reinvention, and turning private pain into public strength. To many fans, Gabrielle is the unforgettable beauty from Bring It On, the sharp presence from Bad Boys 2, and the emotional force behind Being Mary Jane. She has always carried a screen image that feels confident, stylish, and unshaken. But behind that confidence is a woman who had to fight through trauma long before Hollywood fully knew her name. When Gabrielle was 19 years old, she was sexually assaulted while working at a Payless store. It was a terrifying experience that could have destroyed her sense of safety forever. For years afterward, she struggled with fear, anxiety, and the emotional aftermath of what happened. But instead of letting that trauma silence her, Gabrielle eventually became one of the most visible celebrity advocates for survivors. She spoke openly, worked with organizations supporting victims of sexual violence, and used her own story to remind others that survival is not shame. Her rise in Hollywood was not instant or easy. Gabrielle worked through supporting roles, romantic comedies, dramas, and television projects, before becoming a respected leading woman in her own right. Her beauty may have opened certain doors, but her honesty, discipline, and emotional intelligence kept her relevant. She was never just the pretty girl in the scene. She became a voice, especially for Black women navigating love, work, motherhood, trauma, and public judgment. Her personal life also became part of the public conversation. Her marriage to NBA star Dwayne Wade brought love, blended family challenges, fertility struggles, and intense media attention. Gabrielle has spoken openly about miscarriages, surrogacy, and the emotional road to becoming a mother to her daughter Kavya. That honesty made her more than a celebrity wife. It made her relatable to women who had silently carried similar pain. What makes Gabrielle Union's story powerful is that she does not present survival as something clean or perfect. She admits the wounds, the anger, the therapy, the rebuilding, and the ongoing work. In an industry that often rewards silence, Gabrielle chose truth. Her story is not only about what happened to her, it is about what she did afterward, turning trauma into advocacy, heartbreak into wisdom, and fame into a platform for women who needed to know they were not alone. Nia Long, 55 age. Now Nia Long is 55 years old now, and her story is one of beauty, longevity, betrayal, and quiet strength. For decades, Nia has been one of the most beloved faces in Black Hollywood. She became unforgettable through films like Boys in the Hood, Love Jones, The Best Man, and Big Mama's House. She had the kind of screen presence that felt natural, warm, and magnetic. Not forced, not manufactured, but deeply familiar. To many fans, Nia Long was not just an actress. She was the woman who represented grace, romance, and Black love on screen. But behind that admired image, her personal life eventually became part of a painful public scandal. In 2010, Nia began a relationship with former NBA player and coach Ime Udoka. Their relationship appeared stable for years. They welcomed a son in 2011, became engaged in 2015, and seemed to have built a quiet family life away from the loudest parts of Hollywood. Unlike many celebrity couples, they did not constantly perform their relationship for attention. That made the betrayal feel even more shocking when it finally came to light. In 2022, Ime Udoka, then head coach of the Boston Celtics, was suspended after reports of an improper relationship with a female staff member. The scandal did not only affect his career, it dragged Nia Long into a public storm she had not created. What made the situation especially painful was the way it unfolded. Reports suggested the team had been aware of the matter before the public announcement, while Nia was left to face the humiliation alongside the rest of the world. For a woman who had spent years protecting her family's privacy, the exposure was brutal. She later expressed frustration over how the situation was handled and how little concern seemed to be shown for her and her children. But Nia did not collapse under the scandal. She moved forward, continued working, and reminded the public that betrayal does not define the woman who was betrayed. Nia Long's story is powerful because it reflects a different kind of heartbreak. Not loud revenge, not public chaos, but the pain of being blindsided after years of loyalty. She remains an icon of Black cinema, not because her life was untouched by scandal, but because she carried herself through it with dignity. Vivica A. Fox, 61 age. Now, Vivica A. Fox is 61 years old now, and her journey through Hollywood has been anything but quiet. She came into the spotlight with beauty, confidence, and a fearless energy that made her impossible to overlook. In the 1990s, Vivica became one of the most recognizable Black actresses in film and television, appearing in projects that defined an era. From Independence Day to Set It Off, Soul Food, and later Kill Bill, she proved she could move between action, drama, comedy, and emotional roles with ease. But Vivica's story is not only about red carpets and memorable characters. It is also about surviving public love, public criticism, and the financial pressure that often hides behind celebrity success. In the early 2000s, her relationship with rapper 50 Cent turned into one of the most talked-about romances in entertainment. At first, the pairing felt explosive, a glamorous actress and a rising music mogul, both confident, both famous, both used to attention. But when the romance ended, it did not fade quietly. Their breakup became a long-running public feud, with insults, interviews, and social media comments keeping the tension alive for years. That kind of public conflict can damage a woman more than people realize. Hollywood often forgives men for being messy, but women are judged more harshly for reacting, defending themselves, or showing anger. Vivica had to keep working, while parts of the media reduced her to a breakup story. But she refused to let any relationship become the headline of her entire life. Her career also went through difficult shifts. Like many Black actresses from the 1990s, she faced fewer major studio opportunities as Hollywood changed. Instead of disappearing, Vivica adapted. She took on television, independent films, producing, hosting, reality shows, and business ventures. She kept her name alive by working constantly, even when the roles were no longer as glamorous as the ones that first made her famous. What makes Vivica A. Fox compelling is her refusal to be embarrassed by survival. She has been praised, mocked, desired, dismissed, and debated. Yet she always finds a way back into the conversation. Her story fits the larger truth about Black women in Hollywood. Staying visible can be just as difficult as becoming famous. Vivica did both, and that is why her name still carries weight. Lynn Whitfield, 73 age. Now Lynn Whitfield is 73 years old now, and her story is one of talent, beauty, risk, and the price Black actresses often pay for daring to be unforgettable. She did not simply enter Hollywood as another pretty face. Lynn carried elegance, fire, sensuality, and a kind of old-school star power that made her stand out immediately. But in an industry that often wanted Black women to be safe, small, or secondary, Lynn had to fight for roles that matched the size of her presence. Her defining moment came with the Josephine Baker story in 1991. Playing Josephine Baker was not just another acting job. It required total transformation. Lynn had to capture the glamour, pain, discipline, sexuality, and political courage of a woman who had become a legend across continents. The role demanded dancing, emotional exposure, physical commitment, and a willingness to step into scenes that could have easily damaged her image if the performance failed. But Lynn did not fail. She delivered a performance so powerful that it earned her an Emmy Award and placed her among the most magnetic actresses of her generation. For a moment, it seemed Hollywood would finally recognize her as a major leading woman. She had beauty, skill, confidence, and critical praise. But the industry did not know what to do with a black woman who was glamorous, mature, sensual, and commanding all at once. Instead of opening every door, that success became complicated. Lynn continued working, but Hollywood did not always give her the kind of leading roles her talent deserved. Like many black actresses of the 1980s and 1990s, she was admired without being fully supported. She could steal a scene, elevate a project, and embody power, yet still face a system that limited how often women like her were placed at the center. Still, Lynn Whitfield did not disappear. She built a strong career in film and television, appearing in projects like Eve's Bayou, and later gaining new generations of fans through Greenleaf. Her role as Lady May reminded audiences that Lynn's power had only deepened with time. She could still command a room with one look, one pause, one perfectly delivered line. Lynn Whitfield's story is not about fading beauty. It is about a woman whose talent outlasted Hollywood's narrow imagination. She proved that true screen presence does not age out. It evolves, sharpens, and becomes even more dangerous. The unforgiving obsession with superficial perfection in Hollywood has left a tragic mark on some of our most beloved talents. Paralyzed by toxic industry standards and intense public scrutiny, these extraordinary women carried the suffocating fear of aging alone, enduring painful procedures and silent recovery battles just to survive a ruthless, ageist entertainment machine. Yet no cosmetic alteration or physical shift could ever erase the monumental impact of their foundational work. While their natural features may have suffered from the pressures of stardom, their undeniable dramatic genius, electrifying screen presence, and historic contributions to black film and television remain permanently etched in cinema history, entirely untouchable. Which of these heartbreaking Hollywood transformations surprised you the most, and which iconic role do you will always remember them for? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, hit that like button, subscribe to Hollywood Uncut, and ring the notification bell for more unvarnished true stories.